All right, guys, we're back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Thanks so much for sticking around with us. Now, the latest on the war in Gaza. According to a new United Nations Special Committee report, Israel's war conduct in Gaza now consistent with the characteristics of genocide. However, some would disagree with that assessment. Joining us now to discuss all things is foreign policy expert Harley Lippman back here on the Live Zone. It's been a while, Harley. Good to see you, sir. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you, and good to see you as well.
Harley, you heard me make mention of what the UN actually said with regard to characteristics of genocide. They're discussing the war, or making a statement, rather, about the war that's currently happening in Gaza. Your take on that, because others have said, well, you know what, they got it all wrong. That's not the case.
It's not the case. And you know what I find remarkable is that nobody holds Hamas responsible. This war could be over in one day if Hamas releases these innocent people that are their hostages. They have kidnapped now a 2-year-old baby who is 1 year old when it was being kidnapped. They have women, they have a grandmother who's 82 years old. These are innocent people that they're holding. Where are the people crying out to release them? You know, the same people that are accusing Israel of genocide are strangely silent and incredibly insensitive to these innocent people that are being held. And you could have a ceasefire and end all talk of genocide if Hamas releases these innocent people and put down their weapons. Israel even said they'll let them leave to go to another Arab country. Yet there seems to be little to no effort to hold Hamas accountable when they're responsible for this. All the emphasis and all the blame is on Israel. It's so interesting, the narrative and even the question you have, Israel committing genocide. You know, I think it's projection, because the people who accuse Israel of genocide, I think largely are revealing what they'd like to see happen in Israel, which is mean the Jews are murdered and there be genocide. Because what actually happened was Hamas started this by going across the border, attacking Jewish communities that are the most pro-Palestinian in Israel, the poorest of the Jewish communities living along the border. And we have to remind our viewers, they conducted mass rape, torture, put babies in ovens. This is what they did. This is genocide. And had they been able to continue, they would have continued, because they were trying to kill as many Jews as they could. That's genocide. And that's why I say they're projecting. Now let's go to Israel. Is Israel committing genocide? Well, one, let's define genocide. Genocide was defined by the Geneva Convention in 1948 and was adopted by the United Nations, which says it's an attempt to destroy a people, a race, or a nation in part or in whole. So let's look at this. And the word is intent, meaning that you are intentionally trying to do this. Well, Israel is not intentionally trying to kill Palestinians, because one, if they wanted to do that, they have the military ability to wipe out the Palestinians in Gaza almost overnight. So they have the means and the ability, and they would do it if really that was their intent. So clearly, and if they are trying to commit genocide, they're the most inefficient army in the world to be doing it this slow and this inefficiently. So let's start with that. Then let's look at what is going on in Gaza when Israel is trying to, in their war of self-defense, they're trying to defeat Hamas. That's why they're attacking people in Gaza. They are targeting Hamas. But Hamas is hiding among civilians, endangering civilians. And for example, the Geneva Convention says, as an example, let's say a hospital uses their balcony to fire a rocket into an Israeli home. That hospital loses its protected status when they do that. So Israel is trying to find out where the Hamas terrorists are and kill them. It's extremely difficult, and this is why the war has taken so long. It's over a year, and Israel is far more powerful than Hamas. But one of the main reasons why it's taking so long is because they're trying to minimize civilian deaths. So let's look at hard statistics that's measurable and verifiable. John Spencer is a professor at West Point. He's considered the worldwide expert on urban warfare. And he said that in combat today, the ratio of civilians to combats that are killed in urban warfare is 9-1, meaning 9 civilians are killed for every terrorist. Well, let's believe Hamas, who says 43,000 Palestinians have died in Gaza. And let's believe Israel, that says approximately 17,000 of those 43,000 are Hamas terrorists. So that means Israel is killing Gazans at a ratio of 1-2 or 1-3. Significantly better than the ratio of 1-9 that John Spencer of West Point says is the average in urban warfare. So that's a hard data point that's measurable, verifiable, comes from someone who is not Jewish, a professor at West Point, and an expert in urban warfare. Then let's go actually to what happens when the bombings take place. Terrible things happen to innocent Palestinians. This is horrible. Nobody takes any pleasure in seeing innocent people being killed. This is not the goal of Israel or anybody with any kind of decency or any human being would want that. It's a horrible thing. I am saddened for the Palestinian people, and it tortures me to see innocent people being killed.
Yeah.
But the question is, again, why is this taking place? This is taking place because the strategy of Hamas is to use their own people to be killed by Israel in Israel's effort to take out the Palestinian terrorists, because they know that this will galvanize the world against Israel. And they're quite right. And the world doesn't draw a distinction. They're just seeing Palestinians killed. They're not being thoughtful about why or what the context is. And they just go right to blaming Israel. Not only blaming Israel, but calling Israel a genocidal nation and committing genocide. I mean, this is really an outrage and really a statement of anti-Semitism. And I'll give you examples why that is. Why is it anti-Semitism? Let's define anti-Semitism. When you have one standard for everyone else and a different standard for Israel and Jews. So in Syria, Assad murdered 600,000 Sunni Muslims when there was a civil war there recently. And when the Syrian army went into a Sunni village, they didn't just rape the women, they raped the men. Over 600,000 people killed, most of them civilians. Where were the demonstrations? Where? You don't see that. So it's just a perfect example of a double standard. And I'll give you a last comment about why it's not genocide. Let's look at Israel's goals in this war. Let's look at purely, even from a ruthless point of view, what's in Israel's best interest? Is it in Israel's best interest to try to kill as many Palestinians as possible, civilians even? Is that in Israel's best interest? Let's look at that. Well, one, by killing innocent Palestinians, you're creating a new generation of terrorists. That can't be in Israel's best interest. That's not good for Israel. By killing innocent Palestinians, Israel has turned even its best and closest friend against it in many ways. The Biden administration and many people in the United States, especially the liberal left, are incredibly critical of Israel. It has turned America's ally to be a big critic of Israel. Well, that's not good for Israel. It's not in Israel's interest. Third, it has caused nations around the world to demonstrate against Israel and has galvanized the Palestinian movement against Israel. There are nations around the world that have cut off diplomatic relations with Israel, have put an arms embargo in place where they will not sell any more weapons to Israel because they say Israel is killing too many innocent Palestinians. So that can't be good for Israel. And then lastly, while anti-Semitism was always there, it created a huge spike in anti-Semitism where Jews, people have nothing to do with Israel, they just happen to be Jewish, are being attacked all over the world just because they're Jewish, because they're told Israel is committing genocide. So This can't be in Israel's best interest to kill innocent Palestinians. So obviously, they are not trying to do it. It all goes to the point of intent. Israel is not intentionally killing Palestinians, but sadly and tragically, it's a byproduct of war because Hamas is using them as human shields.
Yeah, once again, Harley, I wish we had more time to discuss. This is something we could probably have a discussion about all day. Bottom line, we all want peace in the Middle East, and we truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to join us yet again on the Live Zone. Once again, Mr. Harley Lippman, foreign policy expert. Always good to see you, sir. Thank you so very much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. On the flip side of that break, how about a little lights, camera, McCarthy? Kevin McCarthy joins us next, right here on the Live Zone.